On July 2nd, 1937, Amelia Earhart and her navigator, Frederick Noonan, seemingly vanished over the Pacific Ocean. Her remains never to be seen again. Or at least that's what we thought. But it seems some findings might say otherwise. One theory even suggests that her remains may have been found even just 3 years after her crash and after being consumed by coconut crabs. I know that sounds disturbing, but keep in mind it's most likely she just crashed into the Pacific Ocean and sunk. I mean, the Pacific Ocean makes up nearly a third of the entire surface of the Earth. It's incredibly vast. But of course, there isn't a huge radius she could have crashed in because of her low fuel. There is a still decently large region that she must have crashed in. And looking through this region leads to 2 more disturbing theories. The first theory suggests that she was captured by the Japanese after crashing into the Marshall Islands, which were Japanese territory at the time, although this is about 2 years before World War II and about 4 years before the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Some local islanders reported seeing a plane crash around the same time. There was also some eyewitnesses saying that they saw Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan being taken away by Japanese forces. This was also supported by this photo that emerged, which appeared to show what looks like Earhart and Noonan on a dock under guard with their plane being towed. Seeing this photo obviously raised many questions. Assuming it was real, it could be a huge discovery as to what happened with Earhart and Noonan. However, this photo was later disproven because it surfaces in a book that was made in 1935, but the theory doesn't die there, because one woman testified that she not only saw Earhart in Japanese custody, but also saw her execution and burial, which is pretty disturbing and remarkable. But of course, a theory that only has some eyewitnesses isn't really a good enough theory to be a fact, because people could either be completely lying, confused, or mixing up people and places. But if you take the eyewitnesses as telling the truth, this is a very intriguing theory at the least, and not totally out of the realm of possibility. Now, the next theory is slightly more disturbing, or to me at least. The theory goes that her and Noonan crashed on or near Gardner Island, which is now called Nikumuroro Island. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's likely that Earhart would have been flying somewhere near this island around the time she ran out of fuel. After crash landing somewhere near or on the dry reef, she would have become a castaway fighting to survive on this island. Although quite difficult given the wounds that her and Noonan most likely sustained from the crash. Eventually passing away and being eaten by the enormous coconut crabs that live on the island, growing up to a meter in length. Some people think that she might have just been eaten alive by these crabs and that she was too injured to defend herself, but most likely the crabs would just sit and wait for her to die before eating her. Unfortunately, this isn't just a theory. There actually is some evidence. 3 years after Earhart's disappearance, a skeleton was found on the island, along with evidence of a campfire and other signs of habitation. The bones were measured and originally thought to be those of a short male, and unfortunately, the bones were stored away and nobody knows where they are. But in 2018, the measurements of the bones were analyzed again and compared to those of Earhart's, and they are shockingly almost identical. The analysis revealed that the bones were more similar to the estimated bone lengths of Amelia Earhart than 99% of people. And that's not all that they found. In 1991, a black rubber shoe heel and sole were found, as well as a metal panel similar to one that would be on Earhart's aircraft. Now, of course, none of this can be seen as undeniable proof for a few reasons. First is because a lot of this stuff can either wash up or just be left from other castaways. Also, not actually still having the bones does make it really difficult to get an accurate forensic analysis, especially because we don't truly know the exact measurements of Amelia Earhart's bones. It also begs the question of what happened to Noonan and his remains if only one skeleton was found on the island. The last bit of evidence that supports this theory is people reported hearing distress calls from Earhart after her disappearance, all across North America, in Texas, Iowa, and Florida. And the worst part is, even the US Navy station in Honolulu picked up distress calls. But we may never know what really happened to Earhart and Noonan. And subscribe if you like learning about literally anything.